Hey everybody, I am Brady Briggs. Welcome to another episode of the Combat Logic. What's up, guys? Today I'm here to talk about UFC 273 going on this weekend in Jacksonville, Florida. So, second fight on the early prelims, Mark Madsen will be facing Vince Pichel. Now, Vince Pichel is not an active fighter. Like, he doesn't fight very often at all, but he's one of the better, like, once a year, once every couple of year fighters we have. His only losses come to Gregor Gillespie and Rassam Hobalov. Hobalov was an absolute beast at that time. And Gillespie has only lost to Kevin Lee in his whole career. He's one of the best wrestlers in the entire sport. There's really no shame in that. But he made his UFC debut after being a castmate on The Ultimate Fighter 15, got knocked out by Hobalov. He didn't come back until 13 months later, and then he fought twice in 2014, actually. Then he didn't come back until 3 years later. So May 2014 to June of 2017. Okay, then he came back half a year later again. Came back half a year later again. Then he came back a year after that. 14 months after that. A year after that. And now it's been about 8 months since he fought last. But he's 14-2. His last 3 wins are over Roosevelt Roberts, Jim Miller, and Austin Hubbard. You know, they're not the very best fighters in the world, but they're, pretty solid talents. Roosevelt Roberts is one of the more technical young prospects we have in the sport. Jim Miller gives a lot of people a lot of problems. As you see, he just knocked out a knockout artist, Nicholas Mota, in his last fight. Actually knocked out Jason Gonzalez prior to that, too. The first stand-in knockout of his career at like 39, 40 years old. Nonetheless, Vince Pichel beat him. And Mark Madsen is a silver medalist, an Olympic silver medalist in Greco-Roman wrestling. He's also a 4-time silver medalist world champion. So he competed for the world championships 4 times. He came in second place, all of them. He came in third place once at the world championships. Like, he's one of the best wrestlers we have in the sport. He started his MMA career pretty late, though. He is 37 years old. He'll be turning 38 in September. And he's 11-0 as a pro. He just beat Clay Guida in his last fight. And he also has a win over Austin Hubbard. So Pichel has a win over Jim Miller, who is a longtime veteran and a kryptonite to a lot of fighters, and Austin Hubbard. Madsen has a win over Austin Hubbard and Clay Guida, another longtime vet that's been the kryptonite to a lot of people, like Nate Diaz, like future champions Anthony Pettis and Rafael dos Anjos. Guida has beat a number of Japanese legends like Takanori Gomi and Hatsu Hioki, Tatsuya Kawajiri, and Madsen just beat him in his last fight. So this should be an interesting one. Julio Arce is coming back to face Daniel Santos. Now, I don't know much about Santos, but I know Arce is pretty solid. He's gone 2-3 in his last 5 fights, which has been kind of surprising to me, getting knocked out by Song Yadong in the latest. But the other 2 losses, Shaman Moraes and Hakeem Dawodu. He lost both fights by split decision. Both fights were incredibly close. And his last 2 wins, a KO over Julian Erosa. He head kicked him. I was actually cage side for that. It was fucking awesome. He head kicked Julian Erosa in the 3rd round, KO'd him, and he also knocked out Andre Ewell in the 2nd round, his latest win, the night TJ Dillashaw fought Cory Sandhagen. Mickey Gall is also returning. And his career hasn't gone quite like we thought it would, but that being said, he came to the UFC with a 1-0 record, and he beat an 0-1 opponent or an 0-0 opponent, and then he beat CM Punk. To our surprise, he beat Sage Northcutt after that, though. So we were like, whoa, maybe this kid actually is really good. His opponent is 7-1-1, Mike Malott. He's a Canadian prospect. Don't know much about him either. But that should be an interesting fight. I'm always excited to see if Gall has improved or not. Jairzinho Rosenstrike is opening up the prelims against Marcin Tybura, and I'm pretty surprised this isn't a little higher on the card. Rosenstrike, kickboxing world champion, 76-8 in kickboxing. It's like he's one of the hardest hitters in the whole sport. He's 12-3. 11 of those wins come by knockout. The only decision he has is against Andrei Kovalev in Ryzen, and Kovalev is a tank. Go watch that dude fight. So Rosenstrike has lost to Francis Ngannou, Ciryl Gane, and Curtis Blades. All three are in the top 5. One is the champion. One was the interim champion before he lost the belt, trying to unify it against Ngannou. And then, yeah, Curtis Blades just knocked out Chris Daukaus over the weekend. And, yeah, he's like number 3 or 4 himself. Hopefully Rosenstrike can get this win. I really like Rosenstrike, man. He hasn't had the easiest of goings lately. But Tabura was on a 5-fight win streak going into his last fight against Alexander Volkov. And Volkov beat him by unanimous decision. But, yeah, dude, he beat Sergey Spivak, Sergey Spivak is running right through the division right now. He's the last guy to beat Tai Tuivasa, too. Maxime Grishin, Ben Rothwell, Greg Hardy. I know a lot of people love seeing that. And Walt Harris. So this should be an interesting fight. I think Rosenstrike could definitely knock him out. I think Tabura can definitely take Rosenstrike down and pound on him to a decision or TKO. Ian Gary is fighting Darian Weeks. Man, this is a really, really interesting fight because Ian Gary made his UFC debut last fall with a first-round knockout over Jordan Williams, and Darian Weeks came to the UFC with a 5-0 record and lost to Brian Barberena in his debut. But he looked really good in that fight. Barberena is a really, really experienced dude that's fought some of the best in the world. Like, dude, he's fought Colby Covington. He just had a war with Matt Braun last weekend. He was the first guy to beat Sage Northcutt. Like, Brian Barberena is a good fighter. And Darian Weeks really impressed me against him. Though he only has 6 fights, it should be really, really interesting to see how he does against Gary, because Gary's only 7-0 or 8-0 himself. Let's see. There is a fight between Kelvin Gastelum and Nasruddin Imavov that has been canceled because Imavov was unable to acquire a visa to come over to the States and compete at this event. This just happened today that we knew he wasn't going to be able to come over. So Dricus du Plessis, KSW champion, was expected to face Anthony Hernandez this weekend. Anthony Hernandez has been left without a dance partner, and du Plessis replaces Imavov to fight Kelvin Gastelum. So Kelvin Gastelum, man, he had so much hype. He had so much potential, and he still does. But going into his fight against Israel Adesanya, his interim championship fight with Israel Adesanya, he had beaten 4 world champions in his last 5 wins. Okay. And since then, he's gone 1-5, which is just crazy. Like, nobody expected Kelvin to lose 5 of his next 6 fights, but he has. And du Plessis comes in, he's 2-0 in the UFC, 16-2 as a professional. And yeah, he got knockout KO victories in each of his UFC appearances. And then it looks like the preliminary main event will be Aspen Ladd, who also had an opponent change this week. She was supposed to face Irene Aldana, which, man, that was going to be such a good fight. I was really looking forward to that. And this isn't a bad fight. She is now going to face Raquel Pennington, who has since stepped up. And this is pretty cool because Raquel Pennington, following her loss to Amanda Nunes in her title fight with her, that brought her record to 9-6. She then lost to Germaine Durandame. She then beat Irene Aldana by a split decision and then lost to Holly Holm. Her record is now 10-8. Since then, she's won her last 3 straight, submitting Macy Chessian in her last fight, which was really impressive because Macy, I have pretty high hopes for her, and Raquel Pennington submitted her. Aspen Ladd is also one of the brighter prospects we have in the sport. She went 8-1 as an amateur. She is 9-0, or no, she's 8-0 in kickboxing, and she's 9-2 as a professional. She came back in October of last year to face Norma Dumont at 145 pounds, and just didn't look herself at all. Like, that time away really messed her up. You could tell. That's not a discredit to Dumont. Dumont is an absolute savage, but Ladd did not look like herself in that fight whatsoever. And I'm hoping that her having competed 4 or 5 months ago, it can, like, take the rust away and she can have a good performance. But Hearn Pennington, it's a good fight I'm looking forward to. All right, and now I am going to bring on my friend Mafuz to talk about the main card with me. All right, cool. So I have Mafuz joining me. How are you, buddy?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good, man. Good. We're going to talk about UFC 273. As everybody knows, I just went over the prelims. We're going to talk about the main card now. And the first fight on the main card is a rescheduled bout from last weekend, Alexei Oleinik versus Ilir Latifi. And I was super upset when this fight was canceled because Latifi fell ill the day of the fight. Well, they rescheduled it for UFC 273. How do you see this one going?
Man, the thing with Oleinik is he's been like I think he's been the longest like not UFC fighter, but like he's like the oldest active MMA fighter today, I believe. Like he's been fighting the longest out of
Maybe.
anyone.
Yeah, he's 44. He's going to be 45 in a couple months.
Yeah. Like if the dude was in his prime, I'd give him a better chance. But yeah, like I got to give this to Latifi. How about you?
Yeah, Oleinik has lost his last 3 straight, and Latifi, I don't believe, has ever been submitted. Yeah, he hasn't. Like, Oleinik has 59 wins. Almost 50 of them are submissions, and Latifi's never been submitted, and he's a stud wrestler that he's so undersized for heavyweight, but I think he might be able to crack Oleinik and get him out of there.
Yeah, for sure.
And honestly, after seeing Oleinik at the weigh-ins last week wearing a Vladimir Putin shirt, I really, really sincerely hope that's what happens.
Man, like
Mackenzie Dern is facing Tisha Torres in the next fight. That should be interesting because Dern is coming off a loss to Marina Rodriguez, I believe. And Torres, since losing 4 straight, has since won her last 3 straight, most recently defeating Angela Hill. It's a pretty good career resurgence she's had. Mackenzie has really worked on her boxing over the last couple of years, and obviously she's like the best female grappler in the entire world.
Yeah, for sure. Like as you know, I'm not like a huge fan of women's MMA, but like I do know some stuff about both of these fighters, and I'll give it to Dern by submission just because I think even though like Dern is coming off like a loss and then Tisha Torres is on a streak, I just think Dern is the better mixed martial artist overall.
I believe so too. I'm really excited to find out. This is a pretty good matchup. From here on out, dude, we only got really, really, really good fights.
Absolutely.
Got Gilbert Burns and Khamzat Chimaev, and then 2 title fights. So of course, let's get Gilbert Burns and Khamzat Chimaev. What do you think of this one?
I got Gilbert Burns all day. Like I'm one of the like 5 to 10% of MMA fans who are not riding this Khamzat Chimaev hype train. Like I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid at all. Like but like it's not just with Khamzat. Like the thing with me is if a fighter is like a prospect, like and like they're looking good against like unranked fighters or fighters past their prime, it's not too hard to look good against those types of fighters. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't deny that like Khamzat has skill, but he hasn't beaten anyone for me to think that like he would beat Burns, much less run through him. Like Li Jingliang, he's if that's how you pronounce it, like Li is good, like he's ranked, but he's still not top 10 level. And and like like I was saying before, like it's not just Khamzat. Like for example, Sean O'Malley, like I was never high on Sean, and to this day I'm still not like super high on him. I had him losing to Chito Vera, and then Johnny Walker. I knew Johnny Walker would lose to Corey Anderson, and like I don't know if you consider Gregor Gillespie a hype train, but like I'm like the only person that that like I know of who had Kevin Lee beating Gregor Gillespie.
But
yeah,
going back to Jing Liang, he did come into his fight with Khamzat Chimaev ranked. He was like number 10 or 11. And honestly, I think that was pretty generous ranking. Jing Liang is good. I do believe he's a top 15 guy, but
yeah,
he's not in the top 10. And he is the best guy that Khamzat has faced. He did knock out Mearshart, as you know, and Mearshart went 3-0 with 3 submissions last year. But he hasn't been tested. And when they were trying to give him Leon Edwards, I was like, why, dude? Fucking why? He's the number 2, number 3 guy in the entire world. Why would you do that? Like, it doesn't make sense. And they tried to book that fight like 3 times. And toward the end of it, I was like, fuck it. Like, I want to see it. And I kind of wish we were getting that instead of him and Gilbert Burns. But, dude, Burns is so dangerous. He is literally a black belt world champion. He's a 3rd-degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he can strike his fucking ass off now.
Absolutely. So like another reason, like outside of like me not being high on hype trains, another reason I have Gilbert winning is because like I think Gilbert matches up really well. Like, okay, so on the feet, both good, but Gilbert is more proven, at least when it comes to facing higher competition.
Yeah,
And
for
then like
sure.
if Hamza takes him down, like Burns BJJ is a hard counter to that. So like
Hmm.
honestly, Hamza might want to keep the fight standing. And like Hamza does have a path to victory because Burns' chin is a little bit suspect.
Sure.
Burns lost to Usman like from a jab, I believe, right?
Yeah, he got dropped with a jab. His last two losses are knockouts.
Oh, okay. Was the last before Usman against Dan Hooker?
Yep.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So that makes sense. Yeah. So like Hamza could knock Gilbert out, but yeah, like I'll honestly go with Gilbert by decision.
Interesting. I think I'm gonna take Hamzat, but I'm not sure, man. I wouldn't be surprised to see Gilbert win. That's for sure. I think I would be
Yeah.
more surprised to see Hamzat win. To be honest with you, like if he beats Gilbert Burns, like whoa, this dude really might be the next big thing.
Like okay, if he dominates Gilbert like he did Li Jinglian and Gerald, then yeah, honestly, I might have to go on this Hamza hype train because like I'm very high on Gilbert Burns. Like outside of Usman and Colby, I think Gilbert is without a doubt the best in the like the third best in the division.
Yeah, I think Colby, Usman, and Leon are better than him. But other than that, I got him better than everybody.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, Leon's a hard one. Leon's arguable, I guess. Yeah.
Let's go to the co-main event. We are finally getting to see this rematch between Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan. Like, oh my God, finally. How do you see this one going?
Like okay, obviously I have Peter Yan winning, but
Mm,
the thing is, like people are forgetting that MMA is like the most unpredictable sport ever. Like, do not like to
really
the
is.
people viewing this, do not be too surprised if Aljamain ends up winning this fight, because like now Aljamain is like prepared. Or like he knows how good Peter Yan is.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the lead up to that first fight, like Aljamain, he was being kind of cocky. I think he was underestimating Peter Yan a bit, but like
Yeah.
now he knows that Peter is the real deal. And
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
what I have to say about that is Aljamain mauled Peter Yan in that first round.
Yeah,
And that was the only round he won. If he can do that and manage his energy better, because he did not manage his energy well that night at all. He just, went for the takedowns and tried to maul him like he was early on, but he ran out of
yeah,
energy and really started to get pieced
yeah,
apart. If he can conserve
yeah.
his cardio a little better, this could be a difficult fight for Jan. But I still see Jan winning. I mean, I think
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
he's the champion.
Yeah, like honestly, like in the lead up to their first fight, like I actually had it like 50-50, but like yeah, I think if I recall correctly, I did edge it to Jan very slightly, but like I did think it was like a toss up fight.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I saw like the first round, like, and I saw Aljamain like go for it. I'm like, damn, Aljamain. I was like, I was switching over to Aljamain a bit, but then like as the later rounds took on, it was pretty obvious Jan was gonna win. But like you said that Sterling won the first round only. Do you do you remember how the second round went? Because if I recall correctly, that round was actually pretty close. Like I could see an argument for Sterling winning that.
I mean, Sterling was, it looked like the first round, except not anywhere near as dominant. But I thought he got picked apart like the latter half of it.
Who do you think Peter Yan will have in his corner?
That's a good question because his corner, just like I said before you came on, Nasruddin Imavov versus Kelvin Gastelum has been canceled, and Gastelum's going to fight Dricus du Plessis now because Imavov couldn't get a visa. Well, Peter Yan's corner couldn't get a visa either. So I don't know. I don't know who's going to be in his corner. That's a good question.
Like that's another reason why I'm saying like sleeping on Aljamain isn't like to not sleep on Aljamain just because like Aljamain will have like his full corner behind him, and Peter Yan will have to like I don't know like I know Henry Cejudo is not going to come in his corner. Maybe Khabib will, but like like Peter Yan. Like outside of Khabib, like who else would he get to have in his corner? Like and like Khabib's a good coach, but like Khabib is not like Khabib's not at that level yet, I don't think, or like he can coach like the highest level fighters.
Well, he
In
doesn't
my opinion.
train with him either, so he doesn't necessarily know. Like, if Peter Yan gets to that dark place and things aren't going his way, Khabib won't know how to talk to him per se, because he's not usually training with him.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't know the fighter like his coaches would. But get this, you're saying not to discount Aljamain Sterling, it's a very good point because he's only ever really lost one time when he got knocked out by Marlon Moraes. Other than
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
his only 2 losses are split decisions in fights that easily could have gone his way. Not
for
to
sure.
mention Peter Yan, he's 20-3, okay? And
Yeah.
Peter Yan is 16-2. His only real loss is a split decision in
That he avenged.
in a fight that he avenged in the very next fight, exactly. And then his only other loss is a disqualification. Like, he's never really lost.
Yeah.
And then again, against a guy that's only really lost once, that's super, super interesting. I'm so glad they finally booked it again.
Peter Yan's fans, they were getting a bit delusional, and like Aljamain Sterling was getting a bit too much hate, and like it's not his fault that titles can change when disqualifications happen. It's not Sterling's fault.
It wasn't. I think that fight should have been a technical decision. Honestly, it shouldn't have been a disqualification. I completely blame that on the referee. That fight went well into the 4th round. They could have scored it, and
Absolutely.
yeah, they didn't. That really pissed me off. But yeah, first ever title to change hands by disqualification in the UFC. I mean, there's a first for everything, right? And it set up an epic rematch like this. So like 13 months after the first. So, and
like
another thing, Peter Yan has fought once since then, and Aljamain hasn't. That's also an interesting topic of discussion. So moving to this main event, again, for Alexander Volkanovski versus Chan Sung Jung. As we all know, his trilogy with Max Holloway was supposed to take place this weekend, and Max withdrew with an injury. Well, he's replaced by Chan Sung Jung, number 4 ranked Chan Sung Jung. And I'm super, super upset that they didn't choose Josh Emmett instead, because Josh Emmett is almost 37 years old, and he's on an actual win streak.
The dude is really so sorry, go ahead.
Jung won his last fight. That's it. Before that, Brian Ortega beat the shit out of him in his second to last fight. And then he comes back and beats Dan Ige. Dude, Josh Emmett just beat Dan Ige too. And he's on a 4-fight win streak. And he's older. Like, he doesn't have time. Why not give the shot to him? But I still love the matchup.
Like, the thing with Josh Emmett is, like, he's super underrated and underappreciated. Like,
he is.
Like, honestly, like, when it comes to featherweights, he's probably like
he's right up there.
Probably like he's probably number 1 when it comes to being like underappreciated and underrated. Like it wasn't until he beat Michael Johnson that like I started realizing, oh damn, this guy's actually like good.
Yeah, and then he dropped Shane Burgos, almost knocks him out like 4 times in the 3rd round after tearing his ACL in his knee in the 1st round, and he still came back and won that. And then he just rebounded with Danny Gay. Dude, he's 17-2. Chan Sung Jung is 17-6. He's 17-2. The only thing he doesn't have that Jung has is a higher number, or a lower number rather, next to his name. And when people get title fights, they push them up the rankings further anyway, usually.
And Chan Sung Jung has also like at least got to fight for the title in the past as well.
Yeah.
But, like honestly, like I'm one of the very few MMA fans who is actually happy that the Max Holloway trilogy didn't go through, because like I honestly was not. I was not interested in seeing the trilogy just because like after the like okay, so I'm gonna be honest, like their fight, like the fights with Max, so the 2 fights Max had with Alexander, like they bored me. Same with the fight with Alexander and Jose Aldo. Like Alexander had like 3 boring ass fights in a row, so I did not want to see any more fights with Max Holloway. And like Max's fan base got extremely toxic after the rematch, because like okay, honestly, that decision, like, okay, I can definitely see an argument for Max winning, but like, I don't think it was a robbery. I think it could have gone either way.
No, I think he won, but it wasn't a robbery. He literally won the first 7.5, or no, he literally won the first 12.5 minutes and then lost the next 12.5 minutes. I do think I do think that earlier on he was more dominant than Alex was later on, and that's why I gave it to him. But yeah, I mean, can't really bitch about it. It was so fucking close. And like I feel like a 3rd fight, like okay, I'd probably choose Alexander in a 3rd fight, but I feel like a 3rd fight would kind of be like the same as like the other 2 fights, where like I don't know, I just found them boring. No, I was happy when Max fell out too, actually, because I was like, we get to see a new fight now. Like, it's awesome. And just like, you know how Brandon Moreno versus Davison Figueiredo, the UFC was thinking about making that for a 4th time?
Yeah, well, man. Like, okay, I loved their 1st fight and their 3rd fight, and like their 2nd fight was like pretty good. I did not want to see a 3rd fight or a 2nd fight, because I thought Figueiredo won like decisively the 1st time, like even without the point deduction. I had Figueiredo win. Like, when the rematch happened, I'm like, okay, whatever, fine. And then like they had a third fight. I'm like, what the fuck, why? And the fight was entertaining, but like I did not want to see it again. And like when they were talking about a fourth fight, I was like, oh fuck, man.
Yeah, dude, 4 times in a row. Like neither of them had a fight in between. It'd be crazy. And now Kai Kara France just beat Askar Askarov, and Davison wants to
Yeah,
fight him. So
yeah,
that would be another like scenario just like this, where the number one contender falls out and they give him a new face, which is fucking awesome, dude. Like that's what
yeah,
gets us excited about this sport is different matchups. And
yeah.
also,
And
I'd love to see Kai Kara France win a belt. I really would. I
same,
love that
same.
kid.
Like honestly, like okay, I kind of disliked the guy at first just because he was Israel's teammate, and like Israel outside of like Khabib, Kamaru, like Israel's like my least favorite fighter ever.
Yeah.
But honestly, like seeing Kai in interviews and like seeing his fighting style, I actually kind of like, I can't lie, I kind of like the dude. Similar with Dan Hooker, like even though like they're associated with Israel, I like those guys. So yeah, seeing Kai win the belt would be cool. Going back to Alexander Volkanovski versus Chan Sung Jung, I assume we have Alexander Volkanovski winning pretty handily. We
Yeah,
both
I
do.
think so too. I would love to see Jung take the belt, but
Same, same.
it's hard to see. It really is. Volkanovski is so technically so good.
Like the skill gap is like like astronomically huge, to be honest. Like okay,
Yeah.
Chan Sung Jung, he's talented, he's skilled, but like Volkanovski, like okay, honestly, I think Volkanovski is the number one. Like okay, even though Usman has a top spot right now, I think Volkanovski is should be number one pound for pound right now, and I
Yeah.
think he's the most like outside of maybe Robert Whitaker, who definitely has an argument. I think Alexander Volkanovski's the most well-rounded fighter in the UFC right now.
He is. He's
Like like
incredibly well-rounded.
I see Alexander winning this fight wherever the fight goes. But like the fact that both like Brian Ortega and especially Max Holloway, who's not known as a power puncher, like were able to drop him.
Yeah.
Chan Sung Jung has more power than them both, so Jung
Agreed.
could definitely get a KO. Like Volkanovski's chin isn't the best, so yeah, Jung could get a KO.
Right. And Jung has some of the best like pure boxing in the entire sport, I think, too. Like
For
he's
sure.
so good at it. He's got some good kicks to go along with it too, but he's not quite as durable as he used to be. We've seen him get knocked out a couple times at this point. And
Yeah.
I feel like either of these guys could get knocked out, honestly. And I could also see it going 5 rounds.
Yeah. I could see either of them getting knocked out too. But if I had to make a prediction, I'd say Volkanovski by decision. Like Volkanovski all 5 rounds,
That's
and
what I
like
think.
maybe a round or two would be 10-8. Like it'd be similar to the Ortega fight. Although in the Ortega fight, I gave at least one round to Ortega. I gave Ortega rounds 3 and 5. Round 3 for like the
That's
sub
what I
attempts,
gave him too.
where he almost had Volkanovski, and then like Ortega came on strong at the end of round 5. So yeah,
Mhm.
I actually scored a 3-2 for that round. But
I agree.
I
That's
can see
exactly how I scored it.
yeah, but like a lot of people did score 5-0 though.